In this unit, let's talk about social and personality development. During lecture, I had students reflect upon the 3 questions. What experiences have the biggest impact on who you are now? Who has the biggest impact on you? And how do relationships change over time? By reflecting these questions, I hope you will gain a better understanding of how the environment or nurture plays a role in shaping your personality and social development. What experiences have the biggest impact on who I am now? Let me share my answers with you. I would consider growing up in a diplomatic family to be quite challenging because I had to move out of my home country since I was only 4 months old. I have lived in New Zealand for 6 years, moved back to Taiwan for 3 years, and then moved back to New Zealand for another 3 years. Then my family moved to New Delhi, India for 3 years, and then I went back to Taiwan for 3 years for my high school. For my undergraduate studies, I moved to Canada for 4 years, and then for my PhD, I went to the UK, where I studied in Singapore for 2 years for my PhD with my parents due to the pandemic. Compared to my peers, I had to frequently change learning environments. Some of my father colleagues' child have difficulties coping with these changes, and in some extreme cases, they have decided to end their life. Some reasons include difficulties in working well with people from different cultures and having bad academic performance due to frequently changing education systems. In my case, when I moved from India to Taiwan for high school, learning new topics like civics was hard for me, and also in PE classes, I had to be tested on the ability to play Chinese yo-yo, which was difficult for me because I was not exposed to these things when I attended schools abroad. Therefore, I consider high school being the most challenging stage in my life. I published a self-help book in 2018, sharing how I dealt with these different challenges using adaptive coping mechanisms. This book, called I Will Be the Sun When the Sun Goes Down, records my mental processes during high school and how I built resilience in times of stress. Although the experiences I described so far seem challenging, I think it has positively impacted my social and personality development. Now I'm able to deal with challenges easier and able to mingle well with people from different cultures and can deal with current and future stresses quite effectively. The second question was, who has the biggest impact on me? I would say it is my parents, my identical twin sister, and my teachers. For my parents, they were really responsive to my needs. They gave me anything I needed. And my parents don't favor one another, so they raised a pair of twins fairly and equally. Then my identical twin sister let me feel that I always have a companion and I don't feel lonely. And then she even boosted social facilitation, which is a social phenomenon where being in the presence of others improves one's task performance. So having a twin beside me is like a mirror in front of me. She motivates me to keep up and do at least as well as her. And for personality, because I always have a companion, I rather have an introverted personality because I don't need to actively seek out for further support. Finally, teachers have also made a big impact on me. My undergraduate mentors, Drs. Levin and Dr. Seal, encouraged me to pursue a PhD in psychology. So I wouldn't be here today if I haven't pursued a PhD. However, some teachers in my life were not as friendly because they think that twins only have one brain. The final question to think about is, how do relationships change over time? Although I've moved out of my home country at only 4 months old, during university was the first time I formally moved out of my home. So my relationships with my parents have changed. My sister and I became closer but we are more distant to our parents. To conquer loneliness, we've made new friends in Canada and immersed ourselves in the community. So we held a charity piano concert to help raise funds for the community in Canada to open a mental health service in Kelowna. And now in my career, I've made quite a lot of connections with researchers worldwide, which have greatly expanded my own size of network. In class, I had students share about their responses with us. And from my sharing and my students' sharing, we can see how social relationships and early life experiences both play a key role in our developmental process. The earliest relationships we build is often family relationships. It is quite universal that infants will have a strong emotional tie to their primary carers. However, actually the sense of security varies in how infants attach to their carers, because the sense of security may be different due to different family circumstances. Developmental psychologists were interested in finding out what are the developmental consequences of having a child being separated from their caregiver. From the evolutionary lens, we form strong ties to carers for survival and emotional purposes. In the next slide and video, we will talk more about the attachment theory. So the attachment theory is tied to the power of touch. The lobe of brain involved in touch is the parietal lobe. And when we talked about this, we learned that monkeys prefer to cling to artificial surrogate mothers with soft furry but without food, rather than a still mother with food. So this was Harlow's research on monkeys. In the next unit, we will talk more about the attachment theory and different parenting styles. And I will see you in the next one.